Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Miami Total Football. It was a similar, familiar defeat for Inter Miami on Sunday night. They fell 2-1, yes, that very familiar scoreline, against Toronto FC in a match that Inter Miami had taken the lead in. Again, just like in the midweek match against FC Dallas, Inter Miami jumped out ahead in the first half. This time, a bit more deservedly so. They played better during these first 45 minutes against the Toronto FC team that didn't have much going for itself during that opening half. But just like in the midweek match against Dallas, Inter Miami gives up 2 goals in the second half. They can't hold on to that lead, and they give up the decisive goal, the winner, on a controversial penalty kick in the dying minutes. And obviously, this is a big opportunity missed for Inter Miami to really position itself for a playoff spot. They now need a lot of help, a lot of outside help, and have to do some work of their own going into the final match day in order to have a shot at reaching the playoffs. It's a tough task for Inter Miami, but if we're going to just talk about this game, obviously, again, Inter Miami, I thought, played fairly well, all things considered, in the first half. You have to take into account that 3 starting center backs, or 3 starting defenders, Leandro Gonzalez-Pires, Andres Reyes, and Nicolas Figal, were all out of this one for varying reasons, and their replacements were players that don't necessarily play the center back position and haven't gotten a lot of time there this season, but they held up fairly well, and those were Alves Powell, AJ De La Garza, and Christian Makoun. Still, Inter Miami struggled after halftime to maintain the level it had in the first half. Defensively, they had the individual mistakes that have proven costly this year. First, Alves Powell didn't attack the ball on a cross. He kind of was trying to position himself, and probably due to rust accumulated from not playing since July and his unfamiliarity with the center back position. But his hesitation and his decision not to attack the ball allowed Ayo Akinola to outbody him, and overpower and outmuscle him to get into the position and slot home the equalizer. Then, in the dying moments, Ben Sweat is called for a foul on Richie Laryea in the penalty area. It was a needless foul and a soft foul, definitely a questionable call given that it seemed like Laryea dove and really made a meal of it to sell it, but there was contact, and again, Ben Sweat is a veteran and an experienced player. He should know better than to kick out in that situation, in that position on the field, given that Laryea was facing away from goal with really nowhere to go, at least nowhere dangerous to go. He had to probably play out or dribble out back to the flank. So another mistake from Ben Sweat on this one. He's had a lot of those this season, and it proved costly as Alejandro Pozuelo scores from the penalty spot. John McCarthy, once again, just like in that midweek match against FC Dallas, didn't make a diving effort. He just kind of stayed in the middle, and it was a simple finish for Pozuelo, who gave Toronto FC the win. Now, while it's clear that those individual mistakes proved costly, the overall defensive performance on the whole, and again, all things considered, was a fairly good one, at least in my opinion. Especially in the first half, the team did a very good job of limiting Toronto FC. They didn't give up many spaces. They were playing kind of a 5-4-1 rather, during that first half, and that did not give Toronto FC much space to play in, and Toronto FC really struggled to get much going in that opening half. However, things changed for the worse for Inter Miami after halftime. Toronto FC switched out of its 4-2-3-1 look and into a 4-4-2, and that allowed them to find more space in between the lines and to play through, and you saw the tide start to turn. Inter Miami was not able to press as high anymore or as well anymore, and they were giving up spaces, and Toronto FC started to gain possession in more dangerous spots further up the field, and eventually comes that goal from Akinola that sparks Toronto FC's comeback. Now, obviously there are defensive mistakes yet again, and they're familiar to ones that we've seen over the course of the season for Inter Miami, but again, the attack was a bit lacking for me. Yes, in the first half, there were some good half chances, some good opportunities, but they weren't put away, aside from Blaise Matuidi's perfectly placed finish in the 42nd minute that he placed nice and low to the left post, just inside the left post, after some great work from Lewis Morgan down the right to not only win the ball and to try to cross it in, but to follow it up and then deliver the ball that ended up at Matuidi's foot. But Again, Inter Miami finished the game with just 2 shots on target. It was just not good enough on the day. There was one moment of individual brilliance from Gonzalo Higuain that nearly put Inter Miami up ahead in the second half yet again. He collected a cross from Lewis Morgan. He trapped it perfectly, killed the ball in one smooth, fluid motion, and then dribbled outward from the box and tried to hit a curler that smacked the crossbar. A very close opportunity, a moment of magic and individual brilliance that you expect Higuain to have more of, but he just missed off a few inches. So maybe a bit unlucky there, but that inability to have much of an attacking punch overall over the course of the 90 minutes, combined with the mistakes at the back, proved to be Inter Miami's undoing. It left something to be desired from the group, and it overshadowed what Diego Alonso thought was an overall solid performance from the team that he believed was deserving of 3 points.
El equipo, los jugadores que jugaron hicieron un gran partido. Powell, Macun, Jay de la Garza hicieron un partidazo. Y el equipo merecía ganar y terminamos perdiendo un partido que merecíamos ganar claramente.
Now, one talking point from this one will obviously be Alonso's substitutions, his late use of them. He didn't make any changes until the 85th minute, until after Inter Miami was down 2-1. He decided to then make 4 substitutions at once, and it proved too little too late. Now, I've been critical of Diego Alonso on SBIsoccer.com with my writing and here on Miami Total Football at times for his late use of substitutions and his reactionary use of substitutions. He's a bit more reactive than proactive in that regard, or at least he has been at certain points this season, and this was one of those situations, and it proved costly because, again, Toronto FC was starting to find the game more in the second half from their 4-4-2 formation. They were getting the ball into more dangerous spots and winning possession in higher places up the field. So I thought the game was calling for Inter Miami to add in a third midfielder like Victor Ulloa, but it has to be noted, and to be fair to him, Inter Miami had numbers on the bench, but they didn't have a whole lot of variety in how they could go about things. Obviously, they didn't have any center backs, so they wanted to keep those 3 makeshift center backs on that makeshift back line on the field. In order to put in an extra midfielder, they probably would have had to take one of those out, and it would have been a gamble all the same, but still think it was probably something he should have done in the match because Inter Miami just was not finding the game, not able to hold on to the ball, and that allowed Toronto FC to have it and eventually find the goals that it needed to win the match. But I also talked about his usage of his substitutions after the match and said he didn't use any until the 85th minute because in order to do so, you have to believe you're strengthening a facet of the team, and at that point, he didn't feel that was necessary or possible.
Para poder poner a alguien tienes que entender de que el equipo tienes que mejorarlo, y si el equipo en una faceta no la puede mejorar, y los que lo están haciendo bien, era difícil poder sacar a alguien defensivamente y poder poner, por ejemplo, teníamos dificultades para poder poner un central, por ejemplo. Teníamos dificultades para poder mejorar en esa situación.
Now, what does this all mean for Inter Miami? Well, they're still within striking distance of a playoff spot, but they're going to need a lot of help, a lot of outside help. As they say in Spanish, es tiempo de sacar las calculadoras. It's time to bring out the calculators because now you got to start doing some math and seeing what scenarios they can get into the postseason because their fate is no longer solely in their hands. So right now, the Chicago Fire, Atlanta United, and the Montreal Impact are all ahead of Inter Miami going into the final weekend of regular season matches. And Inter Miami needs some outside help, in addition to probably winning their last game against FC Cincinnati at home to make the postseason. There are scenarios where Inter Miami could get through on a draw, but a win is probably what's going to be needed in that one. As rough as the outlook is, I don't want to finish this video without highlighting some positives. Again, I thought the overall performance, particularly in the first half against Toronto FC, was fairly good. I thought Gonzalo Higuain was pretty good, all things considered. He didn't get the ball in that many dangerous areas yet again, but his passing was superb in this one. A lot of nice balls played in to teammates that helped create some dangerous opportunities or near opportunities, and he also had that one moment of brilliance that hit off the crossbar. But that about does it for now. What did you think of Inter Miami's 2-1 defeat to Toronto FC? Did Diego Alonso wait too long to go to his bench, or was his usage of his substitutions okay, all things considered, given the personnel he had on the field and how he had to go about approaching this game. What did you think about the overall individual performances? Who do you think played well? Who do you think struggled? And what do you think will happen to Inter Miami going into the final match day 23 next weekend? Do you see them making the playoffs with some outside help, or is this season pretty much done and dusted regardless of what happens this coming weekend? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Franco Panizo of Miami Total Football, and we'll see you back here on the next one.